Some regard reggae music as the core of Rastafari culture, spreading the religion and its message to the world. But how has the music and religion impacted each other? We brought in an expert on his birthday at that, Dr. Jahiani Niaah, who's a lecturer at Rastafari Studies Institute of Caribbean Studies at Mona, to kind of hold our mids with us this morning. Happy birthday, sir. Happy Earth Day, sir.
Strong.
And I hope you have an absolutely brilliant day, and welcome to Smile Jamaica. How are you, sir?
Give thanks.
Yeah.
I first want to greet you and your audiences in the name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress Menin Asfawa. Give thanks and peace and love to all of those who are tuned in.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
well.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I said it, and in preparing for this, reading an article, it mentions Rastafarianism as a religion. Some Rastafari say it's not a religion, it's a way of life. Let me start there before we get to the connection with reggae music. Is it a religion?
Well, the first thing I want to say to you, Neville, it's not an ism.
Yeah.
And religions are the isms that offer us that critique that says, no, we're not a religion. We are a way of life, a worldview, a movement. But sociologically, Rastafari does have religious, it's a pure religion in the intellectual and academic way. But in the operational politics, we tend to avoid that categorization and therefore dislike the Rastafarianism context. It's just Rastafari.
And it's not a religion?
I'm saying it could be argued academically and in religious terms as a religion, but for us, it's a culture and a worldview that has religious aspects.
Yeah. Let's talk about the link with reggae now. We're seeing a talking point here that reggae is the first Rastafari space. Would that be correct, Doc?
Well, in a sense of the movement's engagement with the world and engagement with a product that is commercial, a product intended to be proselytizing, a product intended to awaken people. It is the first managed and deliberate space, the first platform philosophically and otherwise that Rastafari has constructed to have this dialogue with the society. So in that regard, I would consider reggae as the first space that Rastafari has introduced itself through to the world.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit more about that dialogue with society, the themes and the kind of discussion and the dialogue opened up by reggae.
Well, in my opinion, the reggae is really a culture in and of itself that complements the liberty and intention of Rastafari. And as the movement developed its stronger political intentions, reggae became a tool, a weapon, a means of getting the full context of the Rastafari concerns, the conversation, the intellectual engagement, the philosophical engagement, the questions about human rights, truth and rights, ganja. So it becomes this platform. Some people call it this business of hardship that Rastafari and other practitioners have been able to fine tune into an aesthetic sound. I also think reggae is very much tied to the sensory experience of ganja. So reggae is perhaps the sound of ganja. It's the mood, the attitude and intention. So it really has become a very interdisciplinary space, which includes music, dance, ideas coming together, all of that. It's a society in that sense that Rastafari has, and there's a concern about commerce and non-commercial, ritual and non-ritual. And I think reggae solved those issues very early by affording the movement a stream of income, a means of continuing its purpose without necessarily compromising the more ritual aspect of the the movement itself, which is expressed through Niaah and that very specific music form.
I was just going to ask you that, Dr. Niaah, and since you brought it up with the Niaah drummers, as a younger man, I would be listening to that a lot. Is that a traditional music to Rastafari or no?
The Niaah is the ritual, original music common to all Rastafari. It comes out of East Africa, and what we know of it is that it arrives in Jamaica in the early 1930s and becomes refined in our own unique way. So we've actually exported reggae back to Africa with slight adjustments to instrument and instrumentation. That core Niaah music informs the theology, the philosophy, the culture, the mood, the spirit, the beat of reggae. And they're very much linked. But the Niaah is a music which you will really find in Rastafari ritual spaces, Rastafari ritual events, whereas reggae allows us a more extended platform that is not completely religious. It's more a reflective edutainment space, with the conversations being more personalized.
And I hear that, I understand that, but it's almost like I'm asking the question again. Does that mean that Niaah music is more linked to Rastafari than reggae?
They're both very germane to Rastafari. Niaah is the ritual music which you will find on churchical occasions.
Right.
Reggae, I'm suggesting, has been artfully developed as a commercial product.
Right.
So it is a stream of income. It is a source of business. In fact, it's a Rastafari business model developed in the yards, within the gates of leading musicians, leading practitioners, leading congregation. It's clearly linked to interfacing with a wider audience than the Niaah would be intended.
Let's talk about the principles. Some of the festivals, we talk about Sumfest, Rebel Salute, which establish the guiding moral principles of this genre and how that has continued, and whether you think that, that what we call legacy of instructions and that foundation is actually continuing through what reggae music looks like today, Doc.
Well, I think that reggae remains a space that Rastafari teaches the society generally through. And it's a very intentional Pan-African agenda. It's intended to keep the flock, so to speak, consistently uplifted with a range of inspirations, etc. And we have events like Rebel Salute that was very clear about the parameters that are chosen, the type of music, the type of food allowed in the event, etc. So I think that there's a basic moral fabric that reggae reminds the society about. There's a space, an African space, that is pretty much a political space that reggae also reminds the society about. And then there is a larger politics, a politics of Babylon, a politics of white supremacy, a politics of African unity and liberation that is also germane to this space. So this space becomes this infused interdisciplinary space to keep current agendas that no one else is interested in. So we wouldn't necessarily say that the Jamaican state is a Pan-African state, but Rastafari consistently has infused the society with that content and that agenda to suit its large African population. So reggae maintains a continuous process of social awakening, social teaching, development, inspiration, and upliftment. And its intention is really very much political, to awaken and to transform.
We're getting to wrap. Doc,
as we come to the end, and if you allow me, sir, I'd like to change lanes just a bit. You greeted us in the name of His Imperial Majesty, and we just saw a picture of Emperor Haile Selassie. Some Rastafari think he's the Messiah, and some say, well, no, some say he's God. What are your thoughts there, sir?
We consider him the Almighty, the Creator himself, and we understand that there is a consistent stream of consciousness that prepared us for the incarnation of the Almighty in flesh. His Majesty's actual name, Haile Selassie I, is power of the Holy Trinity, which for us tells us that the continuous line through which God is seen is in flesh with us, Emmanuel, God in flesh. So the conversation might differ in different congregations as to how to invoke that. Some talk about the return of Christ, some talk about the Messiah, some talk about the Almighty himself. The politically correct assertion is that he becomes the living testimony with us in flesh, the word turned flesh, the actual power of the Holy Trinity incarnate in the line of David as was promised to us. So there are different inflections, but for some, Christ and his Father are one and the same. So it's that conversation that continues.
Doc, let's put a button on the Reggae and the Rastafari link. Prophet with little honor in his home country. You look at Barbados and Rihanna just being given the national hero status. Jamaica, I'm curious as to your thoughts with why we haven't moved in that direction and whether we should.
If we think of the contemporary times and the kind of populations that we have globally, how better to place attention around nation building and impact globally. I think that Rastafari has long been an unsung hero. Rihanna, has achieved a lot as a Black woman, as a Caribbean woman, but her name is certainly not as well understood for human liberation and that whole conversation of African transformation and human upliftment in the way that Bob Marley. So in a sense, I'm saying the society here is afraid, certainly not courageous enough to change those symbols of white supremacy that have shackled our people for so long. And Bob Marley, I can't even put into words contribution that is well understood around the world as a freedom fighter and certainly a Pan-African nation builder.
Awesome. Great thoughts.
Yep. Thanks for spending some time with us, sir. Enjoy your Earth Day, and hopefully we'll have another chat sooner than later. Take care, sir.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and thanks for the good wishes about the Earth Strong. Bless you.
It's our pleasure,
Bless you
sir.
too. What a great discussion.
Yep, from the Rastafari unit at the Institute of Caribbean Studies, Dr. Jahiani Niaah.
All right, when we come back, reggae, lively up Hollywood. Soon come back. That sounds like an American actor accent, no?
Yeah.
Man.